What's good, everybody? It's me, Tim Keys, and today I want to talk about sound design, making your own sounds, as a guide for some of you who are in the Rumpler chat and are trying to figure out ways to make your own sounds and all that jazz. So, first things first, I am not a lawyer, but the purpose of this video is to basically give you guys some insights to like some of the guidelines around sound design when it comes to making your own sounds from the ground up. And I've seen a few videos from quite a few different people that goes into this discussion of, what constitutes as someone making their own sound. Is it possible for you to create a sound per se? The short answer to that is yes, and it all boils down to intellectual property ownership. So generally speaking, when these companies are creating plugins and they're creating different sounds, I don't care if it's Massive, Massive X, Serum, the Korg Triton, anything like that, those sounds and the presets of those synthesizers, and in some cases, even the sample sets that come with those synthesizers and VSTs, are the property of the folks who basically they make those products. So when you play a Korg Triton, those patches and those sounds that come up, they belong to Korg. They may get licensed out, they may hire people to make certain patches, but those patches belong to Korg. You cannot legally sample those. You technically not even supposed to try to modify those sounds and then put them and sell them as one shots and all that stuff legally, because that goes into copyright infringement and you're stealing somebody else's intellectual property. There's some wiggle room in that. It's usually frowned upon and it's a no-no if you get caught, because companies like Korg explicitly have that in their terms of agreement. And in Korg's case, especially with the Korg Triton, it even went down as far as like their waveforms. So in the Korg Triton, you could go in and basically you could create a custom patch in the Korg Triton using their sample sets, like the waveforms that come created in the Triton. Even that was property of Korg's, and they would tell you you're not supposed to do that. And that's because in terms of their process, those are samples. They hire somebody out. They got somebody to sample those sounds, create that stuff, and that stuff is used to make the patch that you hear. And in a lot of cases, those companies like a Korg, like a Roland, like a Yamaha, they don't want you creating something that's going to compete with their product. Same thing goes for the independent developer who creates the one-shot libraries, the sample packs and all that stuff. Generally speaking, even if it's royalty free, they're going to have something in their terms of agreement that says you can't make a competing product using their one-shots, their samples that they've created, because they don't want you making something that'll put them out of business with their own stuff. Totally logical. All right. So, how these companies go about doing that? There are two ways you can do this when you start making your own samples. I've known some people that have made products that they have sought permission from the creators of that original synthesizer, ask them permission to say, hey, I'm gonna make a product, can I use your presets and blah 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 as the starting point or as part of the package to make my own sample library. Some of those companies will say yeah, so it doesn't hurt to reach out to them. Some of those companies will say no. So that's one option. In most cases, what people will do is they will get a analog synthesizer or a analog model synthesizer, because at that point you are going down to the bare base means of generating tones, which in the case of a true analog synthesizer, it's voltage controlled. So it's electricity that's generating that sound. So your Moogs, your Behringers and things like that have that true voltage control synthesis technique, it's using electricity to generate that sine wave, square wave, etc. Those basic waveforms. And then what that person will do with that analog synthesizer, they go and they program that patch. So they start selecting their oscillator, they run it through certain filters, they start messing with the amplitude envelope and the filter envelope to create these different shapes and sounds and run it through effects. And then they have their own patch that they created. And then at that point, now they're getting into their own intellectual property, because that sound is coming from the mind of that creator. Now, everybody doesn't have access to an analog synth. That's okay. The other option is analog model. It's the same idea, because analog model is a technique it's a physical model technique that is designed to emulate the behavior of a voltage controlled oscillator without actually utilizing the imperfections of classic analog voltage control synthesis. Hope that makes sense, and I hope y'all are getting that. So that's another way. If you got an analog model synth, then again, it's the same idea. You're creating that patch from the ground up and so forth. When you get into something like Triton, that's sample based, so they might have sine waves, square waves, and things of that nature in the Triton or in the Roland and so forth. They're usually sampled from another machine, and at that point, if they got in their terms of agreement, you can't use our presets or our samples to make blah, 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 then you want to avoid it. That even goes to your VSTs. Your VSTs will oftentimes have proprietary waveforms that somebody's created or something that's been licensed out, such as the case with Omnisphere, where they had, created their own waveforms and whatnot on wavetables, and they'll say like, hey, you can't use these wavetables to, basically sell and redistribute as its own deal. There have been some changes with Omnisphere because people use that to make sample packs. That's slightly different. So they handle that. Anyhow, every software synth, every sample-based hardware synth will have its own terms of agreement. So the best means of going by it is using something that's analog modeled or analog or FM, because FM is another way of generating tones. Anything that will allow you to generate tones from the ground up is going to be your best bet in making sounds, because usually once you get to that point, you're now dealing with the raw waveform, and most of the time they're not going to go that far. Always check your terms of agreement when you buy some of these plugins. 2 plugins in this video that I'm going to use that will help you. You can use the stuff that I'm showing you, you can use absolutely free. One is Odin 2, and then the other is Vital. And these are free. Now my stuff is acting up and not working right. Cool, there we go. But it's absolutely free, so you can download this. It's in VST 3 format, Odin 2. Vital you can get in VST 2 or VST 3 format, but those are free. And so I'm going to show you a very basic way to create your own waveform. So we pull up Odin. It's going to have multiple ways of generating sounds, from analog to wavetable, multi-oscillator, vector, chiptune, FM, phase mod, noise, wave draw, chip draw, and spectral draw. So these will allow you, let's do wave draw. I got a sine wave. Now I'm going and I'm hitting that button. Now I have literally drew out my own waveform. By the way, I'm trying to make this real quick, so I'm not going to make the prettiest sound. I just want to get you an idea, show you a real quick way of how to do this. Now, I want to increase my unison. I want to make that sound. I want to make that sound a little bit thicker. I'm going to turn my detune down. Remember, now I'm doing wave draw. This is my own sound. Now I'm going to pick my filter types. In Odin 2, you have multiple filter types. I'm going to go with the diode ladder. Turn that saturation up. Now I want to create some movement. So if I'm looking underneath my filter section, I have amplitude envelope, mod envelope, filter envelope. I don't want to mess with the LFO. I just want to mess with the filter envelope. All right. I'm gonna go back in here. Make that a release. All right. Let's see. Arpeggiator preset library. Let's go here. Source. All right. I apologize. Filter envelope. I want to mess with the filter. Filter 1. Resonance. Let's see. There we go. I wanted that to be a slow open. So that's a very simple pad. Now, if I want to create some movement, I start messing around with these LFOs and things of that nature. So nothing spectacular. All right. So now let's say I want to add some more depth to the sound because I'm not really liking this wave draw. I can go back here. All right, so I'm fiddling around right now. Let's change that back to 0. I don't have anything there, so it doesn't matter. So now I got my analog oscillator. I opened up the unison and increased the D2 to widen the sound. Now what I did there was I increased the semitone, so I went from your standard to a 7th, which so it's going to give me some more harmonics. I could do a pulse width right here. So let's say I want to mess with this. And let me see if I can find it. We'll do the LFO 1. And then what I'll do is I'll go to oscillator 2. And I want to go down to pulse width. So I went down to the LFO, hit the sync, hit frequency, adjust it to taste. A lot of this stuff that you do will be to your preference. But see, now we already got some movement going and you can hear it in the sound. Now everything else after that, again, a lot of this stuff is subjective. But if you want to add effects, I'll hit that chorus. And that's pretty much it. This is how you start creating your own sounds using free software. So it's not super duper complicated in terms of the process per se. It's just a matter of finding the right source material to build your own stuff. You can also, I mean, you can pretty much use anything these days. You know, hit some pots and pans. You know, strike a keyboard, strike a board if you need to, and yeah, you can get real creative with sound design these days. But the idea is you want to get as close as you can to building your sounds from the ground up. A lot of times from my experience and my observation, what I see in the urban space is a lot of folks making sounds from you know, they'll take a sound that's already been pretty much done, and then they go and make adjustments to the sound afterwards by adding effects, you know, chorus, flanger, phasers, reverbs, delays, and whatnot. Maybe some LFO effects to change the texture of the sound. And that's cool, and that's definitely useful in sound design. But if you're talking about making your own patches to make a sample library, you know, or a VST, and you're trying to get all of the building blocks in order, then you really want to get yourself things that will allow you that ability to create your stuff from the ground up. So that's pretty much the basis. You know, now I just made my own pad. Now, if you were using Vital, let's go to Vital. I'm not in Vital. Let me make sure I click on the right thing. That's very loud. It's the same idea. Vital is another VST that's free, so you can get your hands on this, and there's plenty of videos out there. Vital is a synthesizer VST that is very much a competitor to Serum. There are some differences for sure, but this is a very capable synth, and it's available to you for free. So again, these are waveforms this is all based on wavetable synthesis. So, you know, you're taking a waveform and you're morphing it from one shape to another, so to speak, just to keep it self-explanatory. For this video, I'm just going to keep it at a sawtooth, because a sawtooth, sine wave, those are your basics. And again, you know, I'm going to widen the sound. I'm going to drop this volume down. I'm going to click on the percentage number right here. I'm just going to drop it down. Now, here, I'm going to go into different ways of shaping that sound. So I want to do a harmonic stretch. And as you can see, if I wanted to stop here, I've now changed the shape of the waveform. I don't even have to do this. And again, let's say I want to make a pad. This right here is the envelope for your amplitude envelope. So I'm going to go and click it out here. And as you can see, as I push it back, I am changing the attack. Pardon me, the sustain is already all the way up, and leave it that way. But I want to change the release to make it longer. So I can either drag it out here, or I can just click on the icon right there. I'm gonna go here, turn on my filter. You get multiple filter types from analog, comb, dirty digital, format, phaser. Just pick one. Analog is good for your traditional analog sound. I like ladder because ladder filter is supposed to emulate the behavior of your Moog. And then you can go here, change the cutoff points and so forth. So I'm gonna and already I got a basic pad. Now again, I can add some movement to this. I'm gonna go into, let's see, not the matrix. I apologize, it's been a while since I have used this particular plugin. Let's go down here and I am going to use the LFO. When all else fails, use your LFO. I'm gonna go to the destination, oscillator 1. Let's see, what do I want that LFO to modulate? The filter, because it's an easy one to modulate. Let's go modulate the filter. LFO 1, filter. So we already got some movement going on. Now I want to go here, and what I want to do is change the amount or the speed from tempo to second. Now you hear that movement? I have adjusted and increased the amount of seconds that it takes that LFO to complete its cycle. So you go fast, but I want a slow sustained open. Maybe not that much. And I can change this. All right, now let's go back. Let's say I want to add some stuff to really add color to the sound. Pick your chorus. Gonna increase the mix. Keep my voices at 16 because I ain't really trying to do all that for this video. Now we got the delay. I may change that. Let's go back to voice. And so again, now I've just created my own pad. I didn't have to do a whole lot. I literally just started with a basic sawtooth wave, use one of these modifiers to change the shape of the waveform. And then once you get into anything like drawing your own waveform literally or changing the shape, I mean, once you start doing that, and then you're determining how you want your filters to be adjusted and modulated with the LFOs, or if you want the LFO to do it as opposed to an envelope, you get to pick all that stuff. So yeah, it's more labor intensive, but you are now in control of your own sound. And using tools like this, things that allow you to draw your own waveforms, analog synthesizers, analog modeling synthesizers, or even FM synthesis additive. Those type of tools give you a great amount of flexibility so you can create your own patches or whatnot. So Vital 2 and Odin are great free tools that will allow you to make your own patches. And in this case, I literally drew my waveform. I literally drew my own waveform and then started adjusting it. So it can be that simple. It can also be as complex as you need it to be. So yeah, that's it for this video. I apologize if it was a little long-winded. I just wanted to get some stuff clarified to help, people who are new to this and, are looking into sound design and looking for resources that can help them get started on, making your own plugins, making your own sounds, making your own patches, and what's a good starting point. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know if you got any questions in the comment section. I am Tim Keys. I am out. Thank you. Peace.